You know, we all have these big dreams, right? That promotion we're chasing, that fitness goal, that side hustle we've been dying to launch. But what if I told you that the very thing we used to chase those dreams, the goal itself, is actually what's holding us back? Today, we're going to talk about a totally different way of thinking. It's time to forget about the finish line. Instead, we're going to learn how to build the road.
Does this sound familiar to you? That huge burst of New Year's motivation that just kind of fizzles out by February? Or that exciting new project that ends up just gathering dust on a shelf? It's such a frustrating cycle. So, what's really going on here? Why do our absolute best intentions have such a short shelf life?
Okay, think about it like this. Let's say you want to get in shape. Day one is just pure, unfiltered motivation. You're up at the crack of dawn, you're prepping healthy meals. Day two, well, that alarm feels a little louder, the bed feels a lot warmer, and by day three, one stressful day at work is all it takes to completely derail you. See, the goal was perfect. The execution, not so much. You had the what, but you were totally missing the how.
And this right here is where we completely flip the script. Instead of just staring at that distant mountaintop, we need to focus on paving the first few feet of the path right in front of us. It's a huge shift in mindset. Goals, well, they're fragile, but a well-built system, that's practically bulletproof. So let's really break this down. A goal is just a single, fleeting moment. It's crossing the finish line. A system, on the other hand, is the daily practice of lacing up your shoes and running, no matter what the weather looks like. Goals burn through your motivation like gasoline, but systems, they create their own momentum through the sheer power of habit.
So, what is a system, really? Well, think of it as your own personal operating plan. It's a set of simple, repeatable actions you can take every single day. The whole point is to put your progress on autopilot, which frees you from that constant draining battle with motivation and making decisions. It's not about piling more onto your plate. It's about making everything that's already on your plate way easier to handle.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we make it practical? Well, it actually boils down to a surprisingly simple three-step formula.
First, you still need to define your goal. You gotta have a destination. Then, you break it down into a daily process. Ask yourself, what's the one tiny thing I can do every single day to move forward? And finally, you anchor that new process to a habit you already have. For example, a salesperson doesn't just aim for more clients. That's a goal. They create a system. Every day before I go to lunch, I will make 30 targeted calls using this exact script. It's all about precision, not just raw effort.
Now, the real magic of a system isn't found in these massive, heroic efforts. No, it's powered by something much, much smaller. Something that's almost invisible. The micro-habit.
And this is just so true, isn't it? We often ignore these small actions because they don't give us that instant hit of gratification we're all looking for. But you should think of these tiny, consistent efforts like compounding interest for your life. You know, a single penny doesn't seem like much, but when it compounds over time, it can grow into an absolute fortune.
Just take a look at the math here. Reading for just 10 minutes a day? It might feel like nothing, but over a whole year, that adds up to 60 hours of reading. That's enough to get through about 6 entire books. And look, this isn't just about reading, it's a universal principle. Small, consistent inputs will always lead to massive outputs over time. Oh man, we've all been there, right? The alarm goes off, and the very first thing you reach for is your phone. And then, an hour of mindless scrolling later, your morning is just gone. The willpower approach, telling yourself, I'll just ignore it, that almost never works. The system solution is way simpler. Just change your environment. Charge your phone in another room. Buy a $5 alarm clock. By just removing the temptation, you make the right choice the easy choice.
But hey, life isn't perfect. You're gonna have an off day. You're gonna get sick. You're gonna go on vacation. So how do we build a system that's not just effective, but also resilient enough to handle the beautiful messiness of real life? The secret to putting your habits on autopilot is something called a trigger. Now, a trigger is just a cue for your brain that basically says, hey, it's time to do that thing. So instead of relying on your memory or your willpower, you just let the trigger do all the heavy lifting for you. And there are 3 really powerful types of triggers you can use. There's location-based. When I get to my desk, my phone goes on silent. Simple. There's time-based. At 10 p.m. every night, I read 1 chapter of a book. And my personal favorite, event-based. Immediately after I finish dinner, I go for a 10-minute walk. By piggybacking your new habit onto something you already do, you make it practically effortless to start.
Okay, let's be totally real for a moment. Your system is going to break. You will miss a day. You will fall off track. And I really want you to hear this loud and clear. That is not a failure. It is an inevitable and, frankly, essential part of the process.
Look, success isn't about never falling down. It's about how quickly you get back up. So when you slip, here's your game plan. First, and this is completely non-negotiable, no guilt. You're human, it happens. Second, restart small. Your goal isn't perfection, it's just not zero. Can't do a 30-minute workout? Fine, do 5 minutes of stretching. Third, reconnect with your why. And finally, track your restart. Literally write down day one and wear that like a badge of honor. Getting back on track is a skill, and it's one you can absolutely master.
And all of this leads us to the most powerful idea of all. A well-designed system doesn't just change your actions. Over time, it fundamentally changes who you are. It changes your identity.
This is the real end game. It's not about losing 10 pounds or reading 6 books. Every time you go for that run, every time you pick up that book, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. The actions you take are literally the evidence that you are becoming that person.
And this is that subtle but incredibly powerful shift in your internal monologue. You move from saying, "I'm trying to wake up early," to "I am an early riser." You stop trying to work out and you just start becoming an athletic person. This is not just some word game. This is about rewiring your entire self-perception. And when your actions finally align with your identity, that's when the change becomes permanent.
So as you go out there to build your own systems, just remember this. It's all about being consistent, not about being perfect. Make sure you track your progress, celebrate those tiny little milestones along the way, and hey, try to surround yourself with people who get it, who are on the same path. Every small step is a win.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question that goes way deeper than just, what do you want to achieve? The real question is, who do you want to become? Because with the right system in place, you have the power to build not just a better life, but a better you. Thanks for joining me.